Good morning, everyone. We're going to wait just about 30 seconds while people get logged in this morning. All right, let's get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for our monthly boot camp. As many of you know, we do this boot camp on the first Friday of every month from 9 a.m. to noon. It is chock full of tools, training, technology. It is open to agents from any firm. So whether you're with our brokerage Lair or with another real estate brokerage, you're going to get just as much out of today's program. And let me start with our Lair program and services guide. So first, a little history about our brokerage. We're an independent real estate brokerage with offices throughout New England and Florida. And we've been in business for about 11 years. And our goal from the very beginning was to help agents build great businesses. And so that's one of the reasons why we're going to share so much stuff today, from listing guides to buyer guides, seller guides. We've added a whole bunch of new tools as well. So we're going to do a kind of a complete overview of everything you need to grow a successful real estate business in 3 hours. One of the first pieces I always start this program with is have a pen and paper, because knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential. So in order to turn that potential into power, you're going to want a pen and paper to write down notes throughout today's program. What's a good number? I say 5 to 10 items that you're going to go execute on after today's class. We're going to share 50, 60 items that you're going to be able to go expand on once you leave today's program. So as we go throughout the morning, I will point out some of the things that I feel you should have as part of your business if you don't already have these items. And then you can come back at a later time. What's great about our monthly boot camp is that we do this boot camp every month and we record it. So write down your notes throughout the program and come back later. So this afternoon, you can come watch the recorded version. That's why you'll want to go to youtube.com/Lair Training, LAER Training, and subscribe to our YouTube station. So you can come back this afternoon and take additional notes and take additional pieces away. And you can always come back next month. So always the first Friday of every month. We've been doing it for many years now. So with that, let's get started. What you're looking at right now is our Lair program and services guide. This is a 40-page guide of the tools, the training, the technology available at Lair. However, it's a jumping off point of a lot of the things that we're going to cover today, some of the marketing pieces. So everyone should download a copy of the guide, because as you go through it, you're going to see a lot of items that are underlined. These are hyperlinks to more information. Much of the stuff that we're going to cover throughout the morning, you'll find within this booklet. So for example, marketing pieces and presentations, we're going to give you links throughout this book. You can download the guide at lairrealty.com/success tools. That's where you can get a copy of our success guide. When you go to the page, you'll want to scroll down to the very bottom where you can download a PDF version of the book. If you're watching today's program from home and you have a printer, you can actually print it and take notes on it as we go throughout the program. Even if you don't have a printer, still download a copy of it, because you're going to enjoy coming back to the hyperlinks that are embedded throughout the guide as you go and execute on some of the items we discovered today in our program. So, very brief history of Lair. We're an independent real estate brokerage. We've been around for 11 years. Where we got our name from is when we started the brokerage, our goal was to attract and build great real estate agents. So, what makes a great real estate agent? The best agents are strong. They are negotiators of difficult terrain. That just means the best agents are really good at overcoming obstacles. And the best agents are true protectors of their clients. They're not working for a paycheck, they're working to help people. So when we started the brokerage, we put all those words into a Google search, strong protector negotiator. And the first thing that showed up in our Google search was a lion. So we said, that's it. We're going to build our brand around the lions of real estate. In the jungle, lions hang out in lairs. And we say in the real estate world, the lions of real estate are at Lair. We changed the spelling of Lair because ours is the mirror image of real, since we're in the real estate business. And we created the acronym Local Agents Extraordinary Results. So I tell people, sometimes you see a lion statue in front of a walkway or in front of a house. That is because the lion is a symbol of protection for the home. And we look at it that our for sale signs are the new symbol of protection for real estate across New England and Florida. So we've been in business for 11 years. And as you go through the guide, before you get to the meat of this program guide, the first few pages cover our cultural values. Those are helpful. We always say when you're shopping for a brokerage, make sure your values align with whatever brokerage you end up at, so you know you're going to be there for a long time. And then it talks about the fact that we are an independent brokerage. It makes us really proud to be, there just aren't many independent brokerages left, never mind independent brokerages that are consistently ranked on Real Trends and Riz Media as one of the largest brokerages in the country. So we love being an independent company. After those pieces, the guide is broken down into 4 sections. And the 4 sections you'll see are highlighted just as you're seeing on this screen with the big yellow and gold, the gold and blue headers. The first section we're going to cover, and this is going to take the next hour or so, is our marketing and branding. We put that first, not only in the program guide, but also in our boot camp, because this is an area where almost every agent needs some additional help. If you're brand new in the business, you will want to spend a great deal of time focusing on your marketing, your branding, your listing presentations, your buyer presentations, your buyer packages, your seller packages, all of that. And we're going to cover all that. We're going to give you a bunch of the documents already created for you, so you can go add to it and put your own unique value pieces into each of the documents we share with you. But that's what we're going to cover all morning. From there, the guide then transitions over to technology. And that's another piece we're going to spend some time on today, is talking about some really cool technologies for your business. I mean, in real estate, there's so many pieces of technology out there. We're going to pare it down to some of the really cool ones that we feel have to be part of your package for marketing and building your business. So we're going to do marketing and branding, then we're going to move through technology. We're then going to spend a little bit of time on where do you find great training, training resources, coaching resources, etc. We built an unbelievable program, basically a growth system that has helped many agents who are new in the business or struggling a little bit build a system to start getting business. And so we'll cover a little bit on the Algorwin growth system. And then the final part of our program today, we'll talk about some of the other resources available, like administrative support, things like that for your business. So let's dive into marketing and branding. We're going to start strong with all the good stuff that agents love to dive into. So we're going to spend the next hour or so checking out some of the pieces at layeragentservices.com. As I mentioned, when you go download this guide, anytime you see something underlined within the book, this is a hyperlink to more information. So we wanted the guide to be very interactive, that you could just click on stuff and it would take you over to what you're looking for. So I just clicked on the Layer Agent Services dashboard, so we can start there. Now, the first thing you'll note is there's no password protection. That means any agent can go in here and use all the stuff that we have put on here. And you'll see that the way we've organized the agent services dashboard is little houses. So all these little houses are buttons. We know that great real estate agents love to go explore houses. So we designed all of these houses for you to go explore, and they are chock full of resources. I'll even go so far as to say everything you need to build a successful real estate business is in these houses. Everything, your marketing, your presentations, and even the systems that you need to grow a successful real estate business. It's all laid out at layeragentservices.com. So when you get to the Layer Agent Services page, there's a few things that you'll want to know for navigational purposes. Is that first, right at the very top of the screen, you're going to see kind of like a menu of some of the pieces that you can find. Specifically, if you're a layer agent, there's a couple pieces in this menu that you'll want to be aware of. Number one, if you're a layer agent, we have a schedule of all of our staff right at Happy Agent Host Schedule. And that is because at all of our offices, I think we have somewhere around 35 offices. Most of those offices have staff throughout the year. And some of them have part-time staff that man the offices, and they're there so they can deposit checks and collect mail, things like that. If you are a layer agent and you have a client dropping off a check, for example, by the way, dropping off checks is like so 1980s that you shouldn't have people drop off checks. You should use Earnest or Deposit Link. But maybe you like the retro vibe of somebody bringing a check to an office. If you do, then go check out our Happy Agent Host Schedule just to see where the staff are, which offices they're at, and what days, so that you don't have somebody dropping off a check and there's not going to be somebody in the office to deposit that check for you. So the Happy Agent Host Schedule is right here. That's for all of our offices across all the states. The other piece, if you're a layer agent, that you'll want to check out each month, and we email this to you, but our layer news. We have our own internal newsletter just for our agents and staff of all the things happening at Layer, but also cool pieces of technology and marketing ideas. So this is a 4-page newsletter that you get once a month. And by the way, you can go download past versions of it as well. We've been putting out our monthly newsletter now for about 4 years. And it's a 4-pager. And each month it has a section, like a movie section, technology tips, books. But I love, this is my favorite section, what's happening in the lives of our fellow agents, who's getting married, who had a baby, even the sad things like who had a death in the family, so that you could stay connected to your fellow agents at Layer. So we do email this to you, but if you want to go pull like a previous version of our Layer Den newsletter, all of it is right here at the Layer News button. Most of these other pieces, like the recently joined section, like resources for agents that recently joined, most of these other buttons at the top actually just pull you down into the Layer Agent services. So we're going to start exploring by just kind of scrolling down and getting a bird's eye view of all the stuff that is available here. Now, first, if you're a recently joined Layer Agent, there's some resources at the very top of the page for you. Number one is our program and services guide. You guys have already started looking at that. That's where we just were a minute ago. You can go download the program guide right at this house. You can also just go to layerrealty.com/success tools and download the guide. If you scroll to the very bottom of the screen, you can pull a PDF of that guide. Also, if you're recently joined Layer Agent, we have a section here of all the frequently asked questions, all kinds of stuff that people ask regularly. You can go get answers here. And then we have a section of social media pieces, tell the world section. So there we have some templates for social media, announcement letters, announcement advertisements, things like that. You can all find there. Then you will see our recently joined agent section. These are agents that just joined the brokerage. By the way, if you're a new agent who recently joined Layer and you don't see your info here, it is because we don't have your photo and bio yet. When we introduce you to the brokerage, we want everybody to see who you are and know a little bit about you. So once we receive your photo and your bio, then we update it right here. So if you don't see yourself yet, if you recently joined our brokerage and you haven't seen yourself, it's because we're missing something, probably a photo, or if not, a bio. Now let's get down to the fun stuff. The marketing, branding, and presentations. So let's start with guides, presentations, and brochures. Now, I do want to make a note that we have tons of resources here, and all of the resources that you're going to see here are Canva. So Canva templates of listing presentations, buyer presentations, pre-listing packages, investor guides. We just have tons of stuff already created for you as a template. Now, if you currently use Canva, you're going to be pretty familiar with how templates work. Basically, if you open a Canva template, it becomes yours. So as soon as you open the template in Canva, it's now your piece. So you can add your picture, your contact information, and the next person who clicks on the piece, they're not going to see all your stuff because you have just opened your version in your account and now you own your version and you can make changes to your version. Future people that come onto our site are going to see the original version so that they can go and do the same thing. So first, when you log on here, you're going to see that we have tons of templates. One of the pieces to know is, let's just say you don't have, by the way, when you go all the way down, there's a little see more button. Make sure you keep clicking that see more button so that, because sometimes you think that you've seen all the pieces we have. You miss that little see more button, but there's more. So keep clicking down and it will keep opening pieces for you. So couple pieces to note about Canva. First off, there's two versions of Canva. There's a free version and a paid version of Canva. I think that it's not a bad idea to have the paid version of Canva. So one of the big reasons, and by the way, the paid version is not super expensive. I think it's around $13 or $14 a month for the paid version of Canva. Now, even if you have the free version of Canva, you can still open and utilize all the pieces that we're going to see here today. There's a couple caveats to that, though. One of the cool things about having the paid version of Canva, and one of the reasons why I have the paid version of Canva is because you get way more stock images. So for example, let's take this 2025 for sale by owner guide. This is a guide that I think it's good to create this guide. We've already done all the work for you. Add your picture, your bio, and anytime you see a property that is a for sale by owner, go knock on the door and give them this wonderful gift of information that the seller can use to try to sell their house. Let's open it and then we'll talk about what those, okay. So I just opened this as a template. So now that I've opened this is in my Canva account. That means I can go make whatever changes I want, and you're not going to see them when you go open your version of this. So first off, what you're seeing on the front page of this is like a booklet. So this is a for sale by owner guide, and it is a 29-page booklet about selling a home on your own. Which, of course, there's all kinds of big hurdles that the seller has to jump through, all kinds of legal issues, things like that. So we want to make sure that the seller who is doing a for sale by owner has a document that has all kinds of helpful information in case they want to continue trying to sell it on their own. But also, we're going to be frank with them about why this is not a great idea for them. So what you're seeing right at the front of this page is a stock image. So this pretty image here of this blue couch against the blue wall, that is what is called a stock image. A stock image is like just all kinds of images that you can buy from people who have taken images of houses or living rooms or kitchens or even pictures of people moving in to a house. And this is so important. When you are, first off, when you're doing any marketing, you want to have tons of really beautiful pictures so your stuff looks really beautiful. When you have the free version of Canva, they give you about 1 million stock images like this with the blue couch and the blue background, so that you can import them into your pieces. You just click on elements and it'll give you photos, and you just pull them right into your pieces that you're using. So why would somebody pay for the paid version, the $15 a month version of Canva? That's because instead of 1 million stock images, you get like 10 million stock images. So even if you're using the free version, you're going to have plenty of images to do really great pieces, but you're going to have 10 times more stock images if you have the paid version of Canva. Plus, there's some other cool things with the paid version of Canva. For example, you can post directly to, you can like schedule out your social media posts, stuff like that. So I'm a fan of the paid version of Canva. And note that I don't spend your money easily. I know that sometimes in real estate, it feels like death by paper cuts because you have all these little teeny things that you're subscribing to. And you're like, holy cow, I got to say no at some point. But this is one of the ones I'd say yes to, that you kind of need to have a Canva account, because that's what we're in the business of, marketing. We want to look really good when we show up and we do our presentations. So you got to have a good, I think you have to have the paid version of Canva. But even if you don't, all this stuff that we're going to talk about today will work. Now, the caveat that I wanted to mention is that if you're using the free version of Canva, many of the pieces that we're going to go through today that you'll find at Lair Agent Services, so you're going to find listing presentations, buyer presentations, the for sale by owner guide, we have investor guides, seller guides, buyer guides, all kinds of stuff, and we add to it all the time. when we're designing our pieces, we're using the paid version of Canva. And what you'll note is when you add an image to something, so let's just say I want to change out this image of the blue couch and the blue background. When you add, I want to do a picture of blue couches. So this is telling me, here's a bunch of, I'll do pretty living room. That's a better description. Okay. So let's just say I wanted to change out this photo that I have in the front. Any of you guys that have worked on Canva know how easy it is. All of our stuff, all of our marketing pieces that I go through today, we've not locked to anything. Sometimes companies will lock certain things, like they'll lock in their logo so you can't change the logo. They'll lock in an image so you can't change the image. None of our stuff has locks on it. That means you can change out literally anything. You can delete out, if you don't like this image, you can change it. If you don't like this article or what we've written here, the introduction, you can delete it and change it. So you can delete pages or you can delete sections. Anything you want to change, you can 100% change here. But let's just say you're going through the document. First of all, if you are using a free version of Canva and you log in and you download one of our templates into Canva and you see a big Canva watermark across this, that means that we imported that image using the paid version of Canva, and you have the free version of Canva. So Canva's saying, hey, that's a image for our paid subscribers. If you have the free version, you can't use that image. Does that mean you can't use the whole for sale by owner guide? No, you can use the whole for sale by owner guide. You just have to change the image that is for the paid users. So when you are inside Canva, it will show you, like I just did a search of pictures of pretty living rooms, and you'll see it gives me a whole bunch of pretty living rooms to choose from. And in these little pretty living room pictures, down in the right hand corner of all the images, some of them have a little crown. That crown means that photo is available for paid Canva users. So if you are using the free version of Canva and you see an image that has the Canva watermark across it, you will have to change out the image. You'll have to go choose one of the images, and you'll see there's tons, like this one right here, this one, and there's a few here. There are definitely going to be plenty of options for you. It's just you can't use the ones with the little crown in the lower right corner. You'll have to choose one of the free images. So for example, this one here, I don't think I'll like it, but yeah, I don't like it. I'm going to go back on that. I didn't like that image. So basically, you'll have plenty of options, but you'll have to make some changes. So you'll have to choose a different picture. I'm going to change that. I definitely don't like that one. So you'll have to play around with that. But if you're using the free version of Canva, you must choose images that don't have that. There we go. That one's okay. So this one's a free version. You could be a free Canva user and use this particular image. That's a free. So that's just one thing. By the way, you might say, well, I don't care. I'll just keep the Canva watermark on the image. You can't do that either, because the system won't let you download the booklet. Because at the end of this, once you've gone through and done your customizations on these pieces, you're going to want to download them so you can use them in your business. So we said this one's like a 29 page book. Once you've gone through and customized the whole thing, you're going to go to share and you're going to download it as a PDF. So, or you can actually send it to Canva for printing, things like that. So, whoops. Go back to where I was. I think I hit the wrong button instead of, there we go. So you can't keep it with a Canva watermark. If you're using the free version, anytime you see a Canva watermark on one of the photos, you must go through and change out the photo if you're going to continue using the free version of Canva. So I know that's a long explanation, but I mostly want you to know that while I think it's not a bad idea to buy the upgraded version of Canva, you can 100% use everything that we show you today in the free version of Canva. You'll just have to do a little extra legwork, which is changing out photos. So like this for sale by owner guide has like an introduction, things to consider. Step 1, selling a house, set aside your emotions, do research, build your team, quick pricing tips. Step 2, marketing your home, professional photography, open house, quick marketing tips, safety tips. So these are all things, by the way, that the agents do. So that's what we want the seller to realize, is that there's a lot of work that goes into selling a property. So we have safety tips built in, due diligence, step 3, what they need to understand about mortgages. Step 4, negotiations, evaluating the offer, the legalities. Step 5, the closing, their checklist of things that need to get done. So we have listing checklist, open house checklist, moving checklist, sale checklist, all of that. And then at the very end is your information. So here's where you would pull in your info, your logo, your contact information. And once that's done, you press share, you download it, and then you would download it as a PDF and go bind it. And you have a beautiful 29-page booklet specifically for sale by owners. So that's a little bit on that's just one piece. That's one little piece, but I want to show you a few other pieces that I think are super necessary for, like, the for sale by owner guide. If you've done all the other things, you have a great listing presentation, a great buyer presentation, you have buyer guides, seller guides, investor guides. If you have all that stuff already, then why not put together your for sale by owner packages so that you have them all done and ready and printed and in a Tupperware box in your car. So when you drive by a for sale by owner, you stop in, knock on the door, and introduce yourself. I noticed that your house is for sale, and you're opting to sell it on your own. I made a nice guide for you of things to think about when you're selling your property. And of course, add the person to your database, market to them, and potentially you have a future listing. Okay, some other stuff you'll find on here. If you're doing any first-time buyer courses, this first-time home buyer class is like really long, but you can go in and customize, add slides, take out slides. We have our kids listing agreement. You're going on a listing and they have little kids. Why not create some incentives for the little kids? We have a seller intake questionnaire, how the market affects property prices. This one's kind of important right now because we're seeing across all of the markets we do business in, the market shifting a little bit. So this document is a great addition to your listing package, because it talks about all the things that affect the value of a property, and it will help you explain to a seller why their neighbor got a certain price 1 year ago and they're not going to get the same price this year. That the next door neighbor, even though the house is very similar, they're probably going to get a little bit less than what their neighbor got last year. So this is a great, and this can be customized with your picture and stuff. I showed you a minute ago the seller intake workbook. Well, we also have a buyer intake workbook. Our 20-point marketing plan. We have lots of agents that go reach out to expired listings. So we have a beautiful expired listing package. Same thing, it's a booklet, like a 20-page booklet about what to do if your house has not sold. We also have lots of listing presentations here. Specifically, you're going to hear from Craig, our Chief Sustainability Officer, shortly, and he'll talk about some great resources if you're considering a green designation, which everybody should. So we have some green listing presentations and buyer presentations. We don't like to call them green. We say that they're high performance home listing and buyer presentations. We have a book here on understanding buyer agency for that buyer appointment you have. We have a great guide here of why sellers should offer buyer agent commission. So if you have to overcome that objection on your appointment, like, I don't want to offer to pay for a buyer agent, this will explain all the reasons why they should consider that. You got a property, somebody considering solar panels, or a property has solar panels, we have a great document here for that. And then we have a buyer's guide, a seller's guide, a buyer presentation, a listing presentation. Now, here's where I want to explain a couple of things. So some of you on today's program are layer agents, some of you are from other brokerages. And first thing I want you to note is in the buyer guide and the buyer presentation and the listing guide and the listing presentation, you'll see many of these. We have a New England version and a Florida version. So what is the difference between the two versions? Well, for us, we practice two different kinds of fiduciary relationships. So in New England, we practice actual buyer representation and seller representation. We have a really high fiduciary duty in New England based on the type of agency that we practice. In Florida, that type of agency is rare. Most brokerages in Florida practice transaction brokerage, which is what we practice in Florida. So that means that the promises we make as far as our duty as realtors is a little bit different, which means our marketing pieces need to be a little bit different. So for our Florida marketing pieces, we're not going to make as many promises within those pieces. So for everybody watching today, when you're creating your marketing pieces, your buyer guides and buyer presentations and listing guides and listing presentations, don't lose sight of the fact that you are making some promises. Like, this is what you're going to offer for services. Sometimes as real estate agents, you kind of just put your stuff together, not really thinking like, hey, that's a promise that I'm making. But that's what these are. So it's important, if you're with another brokerage, by the way, make sure that the promises you're making within your marketing pieces align with the type of agency that you're practicing at the brokerage. That can just be a call to the broker owner or send it over so that they can go through and make sure you're not over promising something that you're not actually delivering on. So that's just a brief explanation as to why you'll see, like, why do we have a seller guide and then a Florida seller guide? Well, the Florida seller guide, the page in there that talks about our fiduciary relationship is going to definitely be different for the Florida version versus the New England version. So let's take a look. The one place that I want to spend. Now, one thing that you're going to note, all of these documents are priceless. Anything you see in our pieces here, they're all pretty important for your business. But specifically, there's certain things that I think are non-negotiable. So for example, what's a negotiable? I think you could probably build a significant real estate business with without a buyer intake form and a seller intake form, which those are both here. However, as you build your business and scale your business, of course you're going to want buyer intake forms and seller intake forms. That's how you do a lot of business, is you want to be able to collect information in an organized process. So that's why we have those there. So technically you could get away without having that in your business right now. But let's talk about a buyer presentation. I think buyer presentations and listing presentations, it's going to be really difficult to deliver, like to articulate your value proposition without a good presentation. So you need a buyer presentation and a listing presentation. Now, maybe you can articulate your value without like a marketing piece or like a branding piece, but you're always going to have to think about what is the competition doing? So for example, is it possible that you could go on a listing presentation and not have a presentation at all and win the listing? 100% that's possible. Maybe it's a past customer that has already sold multiple houses with you and they feel very comfortable. You just have to walk in and sign the documents. They trust you 100%. Absolutely, that can happen. But if it's somebody that you've never met, maybe they were referred in, or maybe they just called off the street. They're interested in listing their property. You might win the listing without a really good listing presentation. But what if another broker comes in, another agent comes in? Because typically for a cold lead, for somebody that's not like a previous customer, they're going to talk to more than one real estate agent. So in those instances where you're up against a competitor, not only does it matter like how you present and how you articulate your value proposition, but it's also going to be compared to how the other real estate agent articulates their listing presentation. In other words, if you don't have a good presentation and the other real estate agent who is presenting to the same client has a listing presentation with their value articulated, you might lose a listing. So I think it's important to have a listing presentation and a buyer presentation. I feel that's like baseline. Like every real estate agent needs a listing presentation and a buyer presentation. Second thing, I'm gonna pull up the buyer presentation, but just to show you the quality of these pieces, because these are not like 3-page buyer presentations that we put some pretty slides together. These are presentations that we spend weeks on creating something that is really helpful for our agents. Because what I want you to think about when it comes to your listing presentation and your buyer presentation is that these are checklists to success. You will see checklists built throughout a lot of the stuff we do, including I mentioned earlier, our Algorithm growth system, our step-by-step system to building a successful real estate business. A checklist, and by the way, there's a phenomenal book by Atul Gawande. It's called The Checklist Manifesto. And it's about how great companies thrive by having checklists. So your listing presentation is a checklist of all the things that you need to talk about with a client. So you have a buyer presentation is your checklist of things that you need to speak about on a buyer presentation. And your listing presentation is a checklist of all the things you need to speak about on a listing presentation. And maybe you could say, well, there's only 10 things that I have to speak about and I can memorize them off the top of my head. once you've been in the business for a while, you're going to realize that there's more than 10 things that you have to talk about. And that every time you lose a listing or lose a client, you're going to come back to this checklist, your buyer presentation or your listing presentation, because this is a work in progress. Your buyer presentation and listing presentation are not like one time you make this presentation and you're never going to change it. You're going to be constantly changing it, because what will happen is you're going to lose a customer. Let me give you an example. I have a couple examples. One is on a listing, I shared the story of one of our agents in Billerica, who many years ago lost a listing. And she called me and she was so upset because she thought she had the listing. Any of you guys that have been in the business for a while have had this happen. You go on a listing presentation, you develop rapport, you feel like you got the listing. The people loved you, you loved them, and they call you, or maybe they don't even call you. You see the listing come on the market with another agent. You're like, holy cow, I thought that listing was mine. I was telling people I got that listing. Well, our agent didn't get the listing, and she was like, wow, I thought for sure I had that listing. So she called the customer and said, I wish you the best of luck. I was just wondering if you could tell me why you chose not to go with me. And they said the reason we chose the other brokerage is that you guys, all things being equal, you were both great real estate agents, but the agent we chose does a lot of charity work for the Susan G. Komen, and my wife is a breast cancer survivor. Now, the Lair agent that had lost the listing, what I didn't add and what she didn't explain as part of her listing presentation is that literally she raises so much money for cancer awareness. She dedicates literally 10 plus hours a week to charitable endeavors. She's one of the most giving charitable people that I know. But so I said to the agent, I'm like, do you talk about that in your listing presentation? And she said, no, I don't talk about it because that's not why I do it. I do it because I love doing it. And I said, I still think it needs to be in your listing presentation. I think you should have a slide in your presentation where you at least mention what you're doing for your charitable or community endeavors, because it mattered to that client. That one person, it mattered to them. And the truth is, when we go on a listing presentation or a buyer presentation, we don't know what matters to the client. And maybe they are interviewing two people, and maybe it is going to come down to like, I like both, and I'm trying to figure out what is the one thing that makes this person easier to choose than the other person who I could choose from. And for that one particular listing, the difference was the charitable work. So that's what I mean when I say like these presentations are a work in progress, that when you lose a listing because you didn't speak about the charitable endeavors, then you come back and you rework your listing presentation so that you're speaking about, you just have a slide in there that now it's part of your checklist. I'm going to at least mention my charitable endeavors moving forward. So your buyer presentation and listing presentation, these are works in progress. Let me go through some of the things that you're going to find in a buyer presentation. Now, the listing presentation is equally important, but I think many of you have listing presentations. Up until August of last year, when all the rules changed a little bit in real estate, very few agents had buyer presentations. I'm hoping that's changing now. So in our careers, many of you like me have been in this many, many years, and it always made sense to us that you would have to have a listing presentation. The listing presentation makes sense because when we show up at a listing, we knew we were asking for a long-term contract. We're asking for them to commit to us and pay us, and you're going to be tied into this for a long time. So that always made sense. Like, I'm going to show up and articulate my value because I'm asking for them to sign a document that they're committing to me. Now, in many of our states, this varies a little bit state to state, but in many of our states, we had agents that were working with buyers for weeks or months or showing tons of houses with no buyer contracts. In many of our states, some states required it by law from the beginning, but many of our states that was not required. So there was no commitment by the buyer. So there was no reason to have a buyer presentation because most agents were not asking the buyer to actually make a commitment right then. Most of the time, the buyer was only making a commitment when they actually wrote an offer on the house. Now we know that has all changed. Now, just like a seller, the buyers are making a commitment from the very start of the contract, not when they buy the house, but when they hire their real estate agent, which means you should have a buyer presentation just like you have a listing presentation. So this particular buyer presentation is set up like a PowerPoint format, because the way we see it is like you would show up, somebody wants to start looking at houses, and you invite them into the office and you say, I have a short presentation I want to show you, things for you to consider as we begin this journey towards buying a house. So this is PowerPoint format. Many of you guys using Canva know that you can actually turn this into a book format if you prefer that format. So we've had some agents do that. Canva's super good about, like, you want to change this into a book, Canva will do it in 3 minutes for you. You'll have to go through and tweak the formatting, but this is more like PowerPoint format that you would show up at the appointment and present this on your screen, on your laptop, or cast it on your conference room TV. So the buyer presentation has the beginning, then your contact information, your about me, a little bit about your brokerage. You're also going to put some client feedback, and then it goes into the 10-step buying process. So we've broken it down into 10 steps. The first step of the buying process is evaluation, consultation, and representation. And it talks about whether a buyer should or needs a buyer agent. It then talks about how agents are paid and what the realtor agrees to do when representing a buyer. By the way, this is why we have the Florida version and the New England version, because we have less promises here for the Florida version, because it's a different type of brokerage that we practice in Florida. So what does the realtor agree to do? And then what is the client agreeing to by signing the agreement? And then we recommend cutting and pasting your actual buyer representation agreement into the document right in Canva, so that when you go through it, you're actually going through the agreement. Then we talk about the facts that we're going to ask the seller to contribute towards the buyer agent fee. So what's really unique about how we've approached this is that many agents are like, oh, I don't want to talk about that fact that they might have to pay me. We say lead with it right from the beginning, because most buyers are actually thinking about that already. And you don't want to put this at the end, because what happens is if you put the piece about how you're paid at the end, the whole time you're doing the rest of the presentation, the only thing the buyer's thinking about is, am I going to have to come up with money? That's what they're thinking about while you're doing your presentation. We don't want that. Let's just get it out on the table. It's not that big a deal. This is what I get paid. We're going to ask the seller to pay for it. If we have to increase price, or the seller will increase price. So this is not a big deal. Let's lead with it right in our presentation. That's number one. Next, Some of these are like the easy things: determining a price range, evaluating mortgage options, shopping for more than rate, the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval, what is mortgage insurance, next, evaluating the local communities, shopping for a home. Okay, this one is pretty important, shopping for a home. Because what I started with a little bit ago is I said, one of the reasons why you need a buyer presentation is it's a checklist. And anytime you lose a customer, for whatever reason, you want to come back and tweak the checklist so it doesn't happen again in the future. So, what is the reason why you might lose a customer? Well, for many of you, if you're not talking about this, if you're not talking about Zillow as part of your presentation, I promise you, you're losing business to Zillow. That is a promise. First of all, the consumers think that Zillow is the best place to look for real estate. And is it? Absolutely not. It's not even a great search tool. First of all, the search, it does not update real time, doesn't pull directly from MLS and report immediately. You can't narrow your search. So I think in most areas, it's $50,000 increments that they can search in. You can't do like a very precise search in Zillow. Most buyers think they're contacting a list agent when they reach out on Zillow, which we know that's not true. For sellers, we know Zillow's estimates are inaccurate, and it's also super distracting for a buyer to be inundated with calls from agents that they did not reach out to. So cold calls from real estate agents and cold calls from mortgage people. So we want to educate the consumer as part of our buyer presentation on why they should not be searching for a home on Zillow. Now, in order to do that, you must have an alternative that is as good as Zillow, at least in the minds of the buyer. So that's why at Lair we use Real Scout. I think Real Scout is like having our own Zillow. It's actually better than Zillow. I can show a consumer in 5 minutes why this is a better search than Zillow. You're going to get real-time information. It's going to text you as soon as a house hits the market, if that's how you want to get notified. It's going to go out and look for all kinds of properties for you. It sends you beautiful emails and text messages, and you're not going to get inundated with sales calls from real estate agents and mortgage people. Another reason why agents lose buyers is because their buyer went to an open house and bought the house, ended up with another real estate agent. So as part of our checklist buyer presentation, we're going to talk about that with our buyer. Say, listen, we have protocols that you have to follow for going to open houses. That you're going to let me know if you're going to an open house, and I'll let the other agent know that you're represented. But we have to teach our customers what to say to other real estate agents when they're out looking at open houses. Next, off-market properties. We're going to let them know as part of our presentation what to do when they see a for sale by owner. They make sure you let me know, because the contracts we have says you're going to buy a house through me. Okay, step 5, our property due diligence, pricing and offer strategy. We're going to talk about bidding wars. Step 7, writing an offer. What happens when an offer is rejected or accepted? Talk about inspections, all the different types of inspections that they can do. What to do if there's too many repairs that are needed. Here's where you can talk about home warranties that mitigate some of the little repairs that might be necessary in buying a house. Also, we're going to talk about appraisal and mortgage issues. What is an appraisal? Why do they need an appraisal? What happens if the appraisal does not come in? Preventing mortgage declines. Again, this is your checklist manifesto for buyers. And we want to make sure that we've embedded into our presentation all the things that the buyer should not do while searching for a house. Do not go buy a car. Do not finance furniture. You think that that's free for 2 years. It's not free. It shows up on your credit report and affects your mortgageability. Do not co-sign for a debt. Do not move money, take money, deposit large sums of money. Don't change jobs. Don't quit a job. And don't get into a fight with a vendor and not pay a bill. We're then going to talk about homeowners insurance. And then we talk about the closing. Step 10, our final walkthrough, closing documents. And then that's kind of it. But that's not just it. That's a pretty in-depth presentation. I think any real estate agent who goes through this level of presentation with a buyer, and maybe pare it down a little bit, but this is a pretty comprehensive checklist manifesto, they're going to feel like you have value. So that's the buyer presentation, and this is all in Canva, so by all means you can go in and customize this. We also have buyer's guides. This is just a booklet that you can give out to your buyers after your appointment. So we have buyer guides, seller guides, investor guides, expired listing, and for sale by owner. This guide, so this is booklet format. This is an 18-page buyer's guide. So that you can just go in and customize with your name, your picture, etc. We have a listing presentation, seller scripts, the trusted vendor list. This kind of important because we embed it into a lot of our training, how you can build a whole business around vendors who you support. So we have a great document here where you could start building your vendor list. We have a little locals guide of like the 10 best places to visit in, let's say you have a listing in Delray Beach, Florida, the 10 best places to visit in Delray Beach, like coffee shops. But this is meant to be customized to your marketplace. So you have to pick 10 places. These are cool for like an open house, like a takeaway. So you're doing an open house and you want people to have something that they want to hold on to. Well, just do the top 10 places to visit in the town where the property is located. ChatGPT will tell you the 10 best places, and then you just list them here and put your name and contact information, and you have a nice little guide. So all kinds, I mentioned the investor guide. If you're a layer agent, we have a brochure about our brokerage as well. So that's kind of everything. Tons of stuff here. First, I want to go back at the very, very beginning today. We said that as you go throughout today's program, you want to write down 5 to 10 things that you're going to execute on. We don't want agents to spend 3 hours taking a comprehensive class on all kinds of tools and resources for their business, only to leave the class and not do anything. Because then you just wasted 3 hours. It's not good enough to just know that this stuff exists. To really have an impact on your business, you have to take this information and go execute. And that is where the power is to build a successful business. So let's write down, based on just the first hour that we've spent on these marketing pieces, let's write down 5 to 10 things you're going to execute on based on what you saw in this, right in this section. So number 1, if you don't have a buyer presentation, you have to have one. You're going to continue to lose buyers if you don't have a buyer presentation. And it's really hard to take you seriously as a professional if you can't articulate your value. As well, if you don't have a buyer presentation, then you're treating every buyer a little bit different. You can't scale that business. That's why you need a checklist manifesto for your business, which is your buyer presentation. Second, you must have a listing presentation. Same thing. You're going to articulate your value by giving people good information about what they need to know when listing their property. So number one, buyer presentation. Number two, listing presentation. Number three, a buyer package, a seller package, and an investor package. What do I mean by that? Well, a package is like a folder with your brand logo on the front. And in the folder for buyers, you're going to have lots of information about buying a house. Most of that stuff that you're going to print out is right here. You'll have to customize it, but you're going to print out a buyer guide, buyer intake form. Maybe you have a locals guide to the market that they're looking in, but everything is here. There's also some cute like flyers and stuff that you could choose from. Just for example, here's the whole buying process as a Monopoly board. This is just a flyer. So you're going to go through all these marketing pieces, these branding pieces that we've gone through, and find the ones that would apply to buyers. And you're going to customize them, and you're going to have like, say, 4 or 5 different documents, and you're going to print them all and put them in a folder that is branded. And then you're going to do the same thing for a seller package. You're going to go through everything that we just went over today. You're going to print a seller booklet, a seller guide, the selling process Monopoly board. Maybe you print out that brochure about how the market, what's happening in the market, changes prices. The seller intake form, you're going to print all those out and put them into your seller package. You're going to do the same thing with investors. You have an investor, it's somebody looking to buy investment property. We have the investor guide. You're going to go download all the stuff that is meant for, would be good for an investor. So you should have a buyer guide, a buyer package, a seller package, and an investor package. And I say print 10 of each. This is really important. I'm only going to spend 30 seconds on it. But do not just say to yourself, I'll wait till I have a customer before I do all that work. That is crazy talk. That means like you're already telling your energy that you're putting out into the world is that you're not ready for business. When you go print all these and have your packages all done, your 10 buyer packages, your 10 seller packages, and your 10 investor packages, the energy that you are radiating into the world is that you're ready for business, and the world, that it's going to come back to you. The universe is going to provide you the business because you're ready for business. You're not thinking about like, oh God, I hope I don't get a customer today because I'm not ready for it. No, you're ready for business. That's why I say have 10 of each and get a big Tupperware box and put them in your car. So when you go to Starbucks and you hear somebody talking about wanting to buy a house, you say, I'm going to run out to my car. I got a package for you that I want to give you. So those are the 3 things you should have on your list today so far from the first hour of our class: a buyer presentation, a seller presentation, and your 3 packages: buyer package, seller package, investor package. And by the way, everything I just said there is 6 months worth of work that we've done for you. It's completed already. So this is really like 1 hour. 1 hour's worth of work. It's 6 months. If you had to do all this from the very start, it's 6 months to get all these looking beautiful and professional and articulating what you want to articulate, but we've done it all for you. Now, one last piece. In a little while, we're going to have Sergio give you a little demo for Lair agents on our Zara marketing platform, because basically what we've done through ours, we're going to always keep our Canva pieces here because we always have agents that like Canva. So we're going to keep all these pieces here. But if you're a Lair agent, we've even made this 10 times easier for you with our new Zara marketing platform. Because basically we've put all of our pieces into Zara, and Zara automatically makes it all yours. They add your photo, your bio, your contact information. So you don't have to go through Canva. If you're a layer agent, you don't have to sit and go through these pieces because they're already done for you in your Zara platform. Okay, so next up, there's some other stuff here. First, the NAR settlement resources. I hope we don't have to talk about this anymore, but we do have a booklet here where we wrote about all the changes that happened a little over a year ago. But what I will tell you is cool on this page, the NAR settlement resources, is when all the changes happened, we put together a library of articles that had come out from all different resources about why sellers should pay buyer agents. And so there's great content in here about for the sellers, but also for the buyers. Why does a buyer need a buyer agent? Why can't they go directly to the seller agent and be unrepresented? So under these NAR settlement resources, you're going to find great articles on both of those. Why the buyer needs a buyer agent and why a seller should pay a buyer's agent. So those resources are here. Those are great resources for your packages as well. Your buyer packages and seller packages. Some of these articles would fit perfectly in those packages. Next, Sergio will give you kind of an overview of our social media program in a little while, but Layer has thousands and thousands of resources for social media. So you can go to our social media section here. I'll let Sergio do that for you in a little bit, but we have every post you would possibly need to make for your business for the next 5 years is already on our social media section here. All right, let's keep scrolling down. We're still under marketing, branding, and presentations. Next, if you're a layer agent, I want to make sure you guys know that you have a place here to ask for special marketing requests. So maybe you are sponsoring a golf outing, or maybe you're putting an advertisement in the church bulletin and you want to have a nice marketing piece on the back of that church bulletin. We're happy to do the work for you. Just click on the special marketing requests, fill that out, and our marketing team will get that done for you. We have a whole section of open house resources here as well. So under open house resources, a couple things that I want to point out because they're kind of cool is number one, we have all different sign-in sheets. Specifically, I wanted you guys to see the feedback survey sheet. This is important because we're heading into a buyer's market in most of our communities. So why not use your open house as a way to collect feedback for a potential price reduction? So we're seeing price reductions in all of the markets that we do business in. And how do you get a price reduction? Well, one way is people do like broker open houses and stuff and ask the real estate community for feedback so that they can take it back to their seller and get a price reduction. But you could do that with your regular open house with a really good feedback form. So this is just an option for you. We have a few different types of sign-in sheets for your open house, but I kind of love this one in a changing market. So instead of just having people sign a line with like your name and phone number, this is like utilizing everybody that walks into the open house. Like, hey, what do you think of the price, the location, the floor plan, the kitchen, the bathroom? Because by the way, who knows better than all the people coming through your open house? Because they've probably been through all the other houses in the area as well. So collect these at your open houses and use them for potential price reductions. We also have like little signs that you can place around the house, like welcome signs. We also have 6x4 interior signs. So if there's things around the house that you want to point out to the people coming through the open house. We also have cool little pop-by tags. So if you want to give out like microwave popcorn, with little pop by tag on here that says, thanks for popping by my open house with microwave popcorn. Just tape these tags on it. And then also we have a kids activity sheets for your open house. So I always say, if you're doing an open house, have a little area set up for the little kids with crayons and something to keep them busy, so that the parents know that they can walk around, relax, and enjoy the open house without being rushed with a kid who is anxious to get out of the house. So that's all under the open house resource section, which is under marketing, branding, and presentations. We also have a section of commercial resources. I'll be the first to tell you, like, commercial is not where we concentrate. 97% of our business is residential real estate. But in a shifting market, many agents look for other niches, other ways that they can go make up the income that they might be losing because the market's off a little bit. One of the ways to do that is commercial real estate. So just wanted to make sure you know that we have a commercial real estate section here. We have a commercial listing presentation, commercial logos, some worksheets for evaluating a commercial building. And then also there's a great course here for commercial real estate for residential agents. So you can find the link to that under our commercial section as well. Let's see, a couple other things. I'm going to come back to the signs, apparel, and print marketing in a little bit, because there's some technology in there that I want to make sure you guys are aware of. I'll come back to that. I do want to quickly show you our Roar report. So in real estate, there's all different types of newsletters for your business. For example, there's print newsletters. A print newsletter is like what you see here. So this is something that you can print out monthly. Our team writes a newsletter for you to basically use monthly. And it's all like gardening tips, home improvement tips. So this particular newsletter is like a print newsletter. It's a 4-page newsletter. You could print on 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17. The reason for these big red ugly circles is we want to make sure you notice the areas that you have to customize with your phone number and contact information. So these are great to print out and put in your packages, buyer, seller, investor packages, give out at open houses. But also, if you've taken our Algorwin Growth System program, these are wonderful for going out and, for example, putting an advertisement in your newsletter for the local coffee shop or the local pizza shop. You put a little ad in or a little article about the owner of the business, and then you take it to the business, the pizza shop or the coffee shop, and you say, hey, is it okay if I leave these here? I've put a free advertisement in it, and this goes out to all my clients, but I was wondering if it was okay if I leave them here as well. And I said last month that I was so happy recently in my own town. I went to the hardware store, and what was on the front counter of the hardware store? It was a Roar report in a little container. There was a whole bunch of them, probably like 30 of them. One of our agents had featured the hardware store in their Roar report, that all branded to the agent, and they were right on the front over by the checkout for the hardware store. That's how to use these to get business. So some agents mail these on a monthly basis to their sphere. If you're doing that, you could put a little advertisement in here. All of this is customizable. So you could take out entire sections here and put an ad for your favorite mortgage person, and then your mortgage person can pay for the mailing. So this is the print newsletter. The other type of newsletter in our business is like e-newsletters. So there's different systems for doing that. This one's more of a print newsletter to print and put as part of your marketing packages. Here we have a whole house full of logos and images. for Lair. If you're a Lair agent and you're creating some of your own marketing pieces, you can go to our logo library and download all of our different Lair logos. We also have a whole section here of seasonal pop-by tags. Part of the Algorand growth system is getting out each week to visit and stop in to see clients or past clients or friends or neighbors. And we say never go empty-handed. It's always more comfortable just to knock on somebody's door if you have a little gift that you can give them. So we have all kinds of seasonal pop-by tags. So for example, since we're heading into fall, this one is pop-by tags for cider, like the little packets of cider. And it says, are you decidering to buy or sell? Give me a call. I'm happy to help. Anyways, we've got tons of little pop-by tags so that just makes it fast and easy for you to create nice giveaways for your business. And the last two buttons here, a listing description generator and an agent bio generator. So these are kind of like using ChatGPT, but easier. If you need help creating a listing description for a property, just go answer these questions and the system will write your description for you and will email it to you. Any agent from any brokerage can use this. It doesn't email it to us, it emails it to you. So nice, easy listing description generator. And same with your bio generator. This is one of my pet peeves in real estate. And so many real estate agents have poor bios on their websites, their company websites. They have poor bios. Hopefully you guys all know that you get a free page. Every single agent gets a free web page through Zillow, Realtor.com, and Homes.com. All of those should have a professional bio on there. Because first of all, we are in a day and age where when somebody refers, let's say a past customer you've done business with refers you to their cousin, and they say, oh, call Stacy, she's a great real estate agent. The first thing people do is they are going to Google you. That's the world we live in. We do it for strangers. Anytime we're going to go meet somebody who we didn't know, we're going to go Google them. And that's why it's important to have a really good bio. So we made it a shortcut here, makes it super easy for you to just jot down some things about you. It asks you, it gives you some prompts, and then it will write the bio for you. If you're a Lair agent, by the way, this can be used by anybody. Just so you know, this does not email to us. So if you're a Lair agent, we don't want you to fill this out and think that we got your bio. It doesn't. It sends it to you so that you can review it and then you could send it to us if you want us to update your page with that. One piece I just want to mention on the listing description generator, please read it and make sure that there's no fair housing violations because ChatGPT is not going to pull out fair housing violations. So I see it make fair housing violations accidentally. So that's why it's important that the human role in these listing description generators is to scan it and edit it for fair housing issues. So you have to read them. You can't just cut and paste it without reading it. So that's kind of an overview of all the marketing resources. We're already halfway through today's program and still haven't touched on some of the really important pieces. But before I move on, I want to introduce everybody to Craig Foley. He's our Chief Sustainability Officer because he always has really good stuff that you guys should be utilizing in your business. You kind of have to utilize in your business, whether you want to or not. So with that, I'm going to let Craig take over for a few.
Thank you, Stacy. Great presentation as usual. Just a ton of resources Lair offers, you know, agents are agents certainly. But what I love about what you've done, Stacy, is that you open this up to agents from other brokerages as well to be able to use our tools. I've been in the business 25 years, and I had to um, sign a non-compete in the first brokerage that I entered back in 1999, and that brokerage, to be honest, I'm not going to name it, obviously, had nothing different to offer agents, than what everybody else was doing in the business. But we still signed non-competes back in the day. And I love the fact that you've kind of made this kind of an open source place for any agent to be able to come to. I think that's just fantastic.
Thank you.
So as Stacy said, I do a lot of work nationally with National Association of Realtors as well, at this intersection of real estate and sustainability. And just thinking about what Stacy was saying earlier, really kind of a theme of this is what separates you from your competition, whether it's in, if you're competing for a listing and you're competing against two other brokers, what separates you from the competition? And there's a lot of little things in there, a lot of little nuance pieces. Like Stacy used that example of someone that hadn't articulated the fact that they, are doing a lot of work to raise money for cancer, for instance, and they lost a listing because of that. Well, one of the things that Stacey's done, and obviously I've been part of that, is to make sure that you as Lear agents have the tools to be able to look and articulate and be a little bit more fluent in this language where real estate and sustainability intersect. And that's happening more and more. I'm going to give you a couple of very specific examples. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to just take you to MLS PIN. If you're a Massachusetts real estate agent, you know this form very well if you're entering a new listing into the MLS, right? So I'm going to scroll down here to some of the fields that we have to enter. And by the way, all of these fields that are in green that you see here, these are all green. These are all green data fields that MLS PIN implemented about a decade ago. MLS PIN is a real leader in this space. But if we scroll down below kind of the HVAC stuff, the heating and cooling, hot water, electric, you'll see that there's a power production field here, right? For solar PV, solar photovoltaics, homeowners that have put solar panels on the rooftop and are generating electricity for the home to use. Literally, it's a power plant on the rooftop. You may have a farm owner that has a wind turbine, and this applies as well. So when you scroll this up into MLS PIN, right, the blue drop-in box is automatically filled in as unspecified. If you're a realtor that is listing a home with one of these solar features on their home, then you're going to click one of these boxes, right? And this drop-down menu appears in which it's red. And that scares a lot of real estate agents because once it's red, you have to fill in those boxes. You have to put in something. Now, you may put in 000s because you don't understand what these fields mean. I'd rather see something like that happen than what many listing agents do when they see this red intimidating screen and they don't really understand what any of this stuff means. Unfortunately, many agents just move that box to unspecified so they don't have to look at those fields anymore. And that's not great, right? This is another example. We've got well over 200,000 homes in the state of Massachusetts at this point, and homes with solar PV are transacting on a daily basis, believe me. Lots of closings across the state on a daily basis with homes with these kinds of systems on them. Now, we can track that, particularly with the agents that have done the right thing and moved the checkbox over here. And at the very least, put in 000s if they don't understand the information. The tragic thing about this is that that information is readily available on something called the Green Building Registry. So I just switched my screens hopefully you can see, I live in Melrose, Massachusetts. This is a map of Melrose. And the Green Building Registry, I'll throw this into the chat just so you have it, but you're going to find it on the Lair Agent Services Guide as well. In the sustainability section, there's a link to it there. You can certainly open up that Green Building Registry toolkit right now if you want. Take a look at your own communities that you live and serve in and see how many homes pop up. So in Melrose, we have a little bit over 6,000 single family homes in Melrose, just north of Boston. It's a small city, 25,000 people. And you can see 692 homeowners or new construction have done significant green building improvements to be added to this registry. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to just scroll down on this map. And what's cool is this is my house at 957 Main Street, units 1 and 2, 2 condos. We live on the second floor. We did a massive renovation. So my house is on the Green Building Registry. But I'm going to just click on the house right across the street from me. So look, there's an address that pops up here. I can click on that. And you can see that it's got renewable improvements on the home. And if you click on the show details, it's got all of the information: power production, install year, 2017, the size of the system, 6.08 kilowatts, the annual production of that system, almost 9,500 kilowatt hours of power. It's estimated, and the seller owns the system. Now look, when I go back to this set of fields in MLS PIN, those are exactly what they're asking for right there. There's a resource for this stuff, right? So know that that's part of the deal here, that you have access to information that many other agents don't have. I think that's a opportunity for you to educate a homeowner that you're competing for their listing, that there are actual fields in MLS PIN, and you know the resource to be able to use them. On top of that, when a home has host-owned solar PV, when the seller owns it, we can add contributory value. So it's not just about the comps anymore. It's using an income approach to add contributory value to the system. There's a lot of stuff that I just said there, but again, a little bit more fluency in this part of the world can make you stand out in a transaction. If you're very fluent in this stuff, I can guarantee you that if I'm competing for a home with solar PV on the rooftop versus two other agents that aren't knowledgeable and competent, that aren't fluent in this part of the industry, that maybe roll their eyes at the seller when the seller asks, this stuff is saving me a lot of money. My utility bills are near zero on a monthly basis. Shouldn't this add value to my home? And the typical agent not fluent in this conversation is not going to know what to answer about that. They don't know the answer that it actually adds contributory value. They'll probably roll their eyes at the seller and say something, silly like, I'll be lucky if I can sell it if there's solar on the rooftop, all because they're not fluent in the conversation, that they haven't required a base level of knowledge and competence to be able to talk about the kinds of improvements that are out there that home sellers are adding all over the place. And again, just take a look at that Green Building Registry when you have a chance. Take a look at the number of homes in your marketplaces that are adding these kinds of improvements to the home. Maybe get to know those sellers. Maybe they're not going to sell this year or next year, but they're going to sell at some point. And if you're more fluent in that conversation, if you're able to have that conversation in an intelligent way with those homeowners that are out there in your neighborhood, you're going to stand out against the competition, right? Another place where we're seeing this just, in real time, I'm going to take you to a Zillow active listing. This is in Melrose, okay? All active listings in Zillow have the feature that I'm going to talk about. So it's got all of the stuff that homeowners, home buyers go to Zillow for, right? They use this resource, as Stacy said. But they've added some resources lately that I want you to be aware of that is part of this intersection of real estate and sustainability. We're seeing a lot more buyers be aware of this stuff. So you can see that, I don't know, it was about a year and a half ago, I think Zillow added this to all active listings across the country, a climate risk scoring system, right? And that sources First Street Foundation, something called riskfactor.com. You can go to riskfactor.com and throw in any address in the United States, and it will give you the climate risk moving forward using predictive analytics, looking 15 and 30 years forward. But just imagine you're in an open house, right? And you haven't really paid attention to this stuff. And all of a sudden, a seller has their phone out, they're looking at this, and they ask you, what does this mean? Flood factor major, wind factor major, heat factor major for this home. What's your answer going to be to that question, right? So these are the kinds of things that we're trying, Stacy and I are trying to make sure that our agents and agents across the industry are more aware of, that this stuff is out there, that buyer perceptions are being moved by this kind of data that's out there, right? So there is actually a way to answer this question. We've got that in the Lair Agent Services Guide, which again, any real estate agent, if you're not with Lair and you're on this boot camp, you have access to this stuff as well, a script for answering this kind of question. So, you know, the typical realtor listing agent that's at an open house might say something because they didn't even expect this question coming from them. You know, the correct answer isn't to say something like, well, Zillow sucks and we don't, you know, that's not the answer that we want to use as real estate professionals in the business, right? I think I know that there's better answers out there. So the way I would answer this question, and again, this is because I'm more fluent in this, I'm more aware of what's going on in this part of the industry, right? Is thanks for the question. I really appreciate it. And it's a really important factor for you to think about as you buy this next home, right? What is the climate risk in a changing climate for this home? So I want you to be aware of, first of all, where this information comes from. First Street Foundation is a leader in analyzing climate risk, definitely. And they have predictive analytics tools, which is what you're seeing here. So they're looking forward 15 and 30 years into the future about the potential risk for this property. And I think you should pay attention to this stuff. Absolutely. I have some other tools that I would be happy to share with you. If you did you put your email in the sign-in sheet? Oh, you did? Great. I'm going to just put a little note in there to send you some additional tools on this. So for instance, in Melrose, Massachusetts, they have done a climate vulnerability assessment and a climate action plan. That was actually created by the city to look at the potential climate vulnerability and the vulnerability assessment and to take action to protect homeowners in particularly in areas that are going to be more subject to this risk. So I want you to have those kinds of tools to make your buyer decisions moving forward, to seeing what the community is doing. And by the way, are you working with a buyer's agent to be able to help you with this? You're not. Well, I'd love to meet with you and talk about buyer agency as well, and how my business actually factors in things like climate risk. I'd love to work with you, right? So there's transactionally, Stacy, there's things that are happening in real time about this stuff. I think this sustainability thing is such a big word, Stacy, and as you know, it's very politically fraught right now, right? So there's that whole layer going on as well. But transactionally, this stuff is happening in real time in real business. I love, Stacy, what you put in the this next version, the new version of the Lair report to our agents about indoor air quality. this is another space where we know that there are a certain percentage of buyers that are really aware of this stuff. Namely, if you've got a kid with asthma, you know more about green homes or LEED certified homes than your buyer agent does. You're aware of proper ventilation in a home, right? Even as I look at this listing that I had on Zillow here, if I go back to the initial photos, you know, here's a stovetop. Looks like it's electric. No, it's a natural gas cooktop. And what am I not really seeing here? I'm not sure what the ventilation is here, if any. Looks like there might be some ventilation underneath that microwave. Where does it ventilate? Does it actually go outside the way it should to move the toxins that are being released by a natural gas cooktop? Well, maybe not all buyers are aware of that or interested about it, but there are a certain percentage of buyers that really are aware of indoor air quality. And being able to articulate this and making sure with the home inspection that the home inspector makes sure that that's ventilating outside the building, not just recirculating those toxins inside the air, is another very specific space where we're seeing a little bit more knowledge and competence in this space can really separate you from the competition. Stacy said we have a bunch of excellent tools here, in our toolbox. I'm going to just click on the sustainability one because it has some of the things that we've already mentioned. The fact that high performance homes with high performance features have a different way of have a different approach to valuation. Here's an article that I wrote for Lair Realty Partners, for Pearl Certification, one of our great partners, on that topic. Read it, open it up, check out the sustainability tools here as one of the 5-10 things that you're going to do. Just check it out, take a look at it some night after dinner when the kids are in bed and you want to do a little real estate research on your own. Check out some of this stuff. There's a green appraisal addendum here. So the Appraisal Institute back in 2009 created an addendum for the URA, or the Uniform Residential Appraisal Report. That's a 5-page document just about high performance home features that when you demand a qualified an appraiser that's gone through the valuation of sustainable buildings program, you actually have the tools with this green appraisal addendum so that they can make a case to the bank underwriter about the additional contributory value. Take a look at the script for realtors on climate risk, right? What I just described in terms of how to deal with that question about what does this mean on Zillow? Major climate risk for flooding. How do you talk about that in a way that's more fluent, that's more comfortable, that makes the buyer more comfortable in your skill set to be able to address these issues? There's a lot of information in here about Pearl certification, and I just want to highlight one event that we're doing on September 30th for our agents, and actually this is open to any agent, whether you're with Lair or not. But we're going to have Pearl certification, one of our great partners, particularly for homes with high performance improvements on there, come on and talk about their new tool that they've created. So you just saw the Green Building Registry. Pearl certification has created a mapping tool, and this meeting that we're having on September 30th at the end of the month at 12:30 on Zoom is going to expose everybody that's on the call, some of the very first real estate professionals in the United States of America that are going to have access to this mapping tool of every home in the United States and what the energy efficiency rating is on that home. It's going to be a very, very powerful tool. We're going to talk to you about how to use that tool to benefit your business. So again, we're looking very transactionally, Stacy, at so much of this stuff that consumers are certainly caring about in the space. Now, I'm going to share one more thing to you, just because it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it quite a bit, Stace. And that is, oh, did I share that? Let me just make sure that I got this. So I'm going down to Raleigh, North Carolina, right before we do the event for Lair, but I'm going down to Raleigh to do their annual sustainability summit. I'm going to be teaching the new planning and zoning course, and we also have some heavy hitters. We have Mayor Cowell, who I'm meeting with later on today. She's going to be in a panel. We've got Governor Josh Stein doing a video for this. So it's all about land use, zoning, planning, smart growth, and how that's impacting Raleigh. They're in the midst of a new comprehensive plan that they're going to be delivering in 2030, and smart growth is a big part of that plan. So how do realtors get involved from an advocacy perspective? How does Raleigh Regional Association of Realtors get involved to be able to move that plan in the right direction? So again, so much happening across the United States in this space, Stacy. I'm feel very lucky and honored to be able to participate, lead these discussions, for instance. But there's so many tangible ways that you can use the tools that we have available for you to be able to improve your business. I firmly think, Stacy.
I 100% agree. I'm sharing with you guys. I tried to get First Street to come on and do a class with us on the Zillow climate reporting, because they're the organization that reports all those things on Zillow. They can't come on and do a class, but they sent me a link which has all the methodologies of how they calculate everything. So I just shared that with everybody because I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's excellent, Stace. You know who we could get on here, because I've gotten to know them, is another risk factor tool is climatecheck.com. And the CEO of that company is Cal Inman. And if you've been in real estate more than 10 minutes, you know the Inman name, right? Brad Inman is Cal's son. And Cal is the CEO of this other company called climatecheck.com. It's actually on Realtor Property Resource, so that you can click and get the same thing using predictive analytics 15 and 30 years forward about these climate risk tools that are out there. A lot of stuff happening.
And as we've been saying every single month, like every month that goes by, like this stuff is becoming so important. I mean, first of all, Craig's been doing this forever. I've been involved with like green designation ever since Craig came to our company. And I'm so thankful that I did, because one of the great things about having Craig as our sustainability officer is, up until we had Craig, sustainability over the years was like a thing that we would bring up at an office meeting every once in a while. It was kind of like this gimmicky thing that you could build a business around it, but now it is like at the forefront of everything we do. From, like you said, it's no longer just about solar panels. It's about the health of a home and air quality. And so we're huge proponents on getting the green designation. It's a phenomenal program, and it gives you like a baseline understanding of a whole lot of things for your business. And it makes you so you are no longer as much of a legal risk. If you think about it, like many of you have not gone through the green designation, you are a liability in some ways to customers who have high performing features to their home. For example, if you are listing a high performance home, maybe it has like owned solar panels, that property, there's value to the features, the green features of the property that should be factored in. In other words, the neighbor's house didn't have those features and that sold for this price, well, yours should sell for X amount more because of the green features. And you don't realize that because you haven't gone through any of the green designation courses. You could substantially underprice a property, but I mean, you're in many ways a walking liability without at least a baseline understanding of all of the components of this. And I don't know, it's exciting. That's why I enjoy writing the news pieces about it in our monthly newsletter. Because I've been writing those articles for, I don't know, 3 years now, and I never run out of content. Never. There's always something else that you can delve into. So think about that for your own marketing as well. So many real estate agents post like their marketing is about how great they are. How about providing information that people will stop for a second and say, hey, I'm interested in like what my air quality is not good at my house. How about drinking water? We all have drinking water. We all have air quality. We have insulation. We have climate issues and flooding. There's so much stuff to get involved in. So
Yeah, I've got this 12 o'clock meeting with the mayor from Raleigh, so I'm gonna jump off, Stacy. I may add a few more things, but I'm gonna get off. It sounds like you're a little bit tinny right now. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just my, me on my end, but I just wanted to give you a heads
all
up
right.
about that.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Next, if you guys can't hear me well, let me know. Just put a little note in the chat box and I will figure out I have my,
Hey, Stacey, you are kind of breaking up. So if you want, I can do my part. You can close
okay,
down
I'm
and then
gonna
come
be
back.
awesome.
All right, cool. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen here. I'm going to go over a couple of things that we have available in terms of marketing for our layer agent. So these two things, the rest of what you saw today is open to all agents. These two particular things are for layer agents. The first thing is the layer marketing bundle that's powered now by Zara. So Zara is a marketing platform. It's very similar to Canva, but it does have a connection with the MLS, and I'll show you why that's important. But as a layer agent, when your listing goes live, within a few hours at most, you'll receive an email from Zara that says, here are your marketing materials for this listing. This happens anytime there's a status change on your listing. So you'll get one when you have a price change. You'll get one when your home sells, when you switch it over to sold. You also get one when it's under agreement. So let me give you a live demo of what that looks like. So I'm going to go into our Zara platform here. And we just did Zara training earlier this week. We did it yesterday. I'm not going to go too deep into some of the platform here, but you can check out the replay of our training we did on our YouTube channel. So if you go to youtube.com/layer training, you can catch replays of all of the training that we do, including today's boot camp, but you can catch the replay of our Zara platform. I go more in depth. I spent around an hour kind of going through everything. Now, the powerful part of Zara is that you're able to run these playbooks, right? So if you just had a listing, now these playbooks, like I said, are run automatically for you, but you can run them ahead of time if you'd like, or you can run them on demand. For example, we have a just listed playbook. We can click on generate. You can put in your MLS ID. In this case, I'm just going to put one that I already had saved and then click next. We have our agent, right? We have his photo, and then we can generate the playbook. Now, when you generate the playbook, it does take some time. So, this is your chance to maybe go out and get a coffee. You'll receive an email when your playbook has finished. It doesn't take that long. It takes maybe 2 to 3 minutes. But just give it some time. In the meantime, we can check out some listings that we have already generated. For example, we have this listing, and also when you generate one of these, they will show up under your the My Listings folder. Right, so it looks just like this. This playbook that was generated is a just listed playbook. And here we have social media pieces, right, as well as some print flyers. Now, for the social media pieces, we have various designs, some with a photo, some without the photo, some have more images. For example, we have this one here. Now, we can post directly from Zara. You can actually connect your social media account. If I hit post, I can click on LinkedIn and I can post over to either my personal LinkedIn account, or I manage other LinkedIn accounts for other people. And then for Facebook and Instagram, you can post to your Facebook business page or your Instagram page. If you want to make any edits to your social media piece, in this case, you're able to go in, and just like Canva, it opens up in this mode here where you're able to make any changes to your document. You can, make the font size bigger. You can switch out the photos. And the great part about this is that if we click on this real estate icon here, we're able to bring in the photos for the listing, right? It will download the photos onto the platform, and then you can just drag and drop as you see fit. Now, the way this works is that it will grab the first few images, right? So I already edited this, but when this came through, right, it looked more like this. Now, you can, when you upload to the MLS, you can keep in mind that order, right? So in this case, it just grabbed all these exterior photos. But you can always go in and switch them out. So in this case, I wanted a photo of the kitchen, and it's all drag and drop, right? Just like Canva, you can just drag an image, drop it over like that. And then when you're ready, you can click on share. You can share directly to social media, or you can download this as different formats. You can download this as a JPEG or a PNG, and then download. Right. From here, you can then post on social media as you'd like. Another awesome thing about posting to social media from Zara is if I click, for example, on Facebook, it's going to ask me to choose a page. Again, I manage multiple pages. Obviously, you're not going to choose a ton of pages. You just choose yours. It will generate an AI caption for you, right? So give it some time. It's going to take your listing description. It's going to take your listing details, number of bedrooms, price. It's going to take your information, right? Your phone number, etc. And it'll generate a caption, right? That includes all of this, right? So it talks about the new listing, the price that it's offered at, and it includes your contact info as well as some hashtags. If you don't like it, you can go in and make changes. Obviously, because this is AI generated, you want to make sure that it's accurate. But you can always rewrite the caption too, and it'll do something different. When you're ready to post, you just click on this post button, and it'll post directly to your account. So here it gave me a different caption, right? And if you don't like a lot of emojis, you can get rid of those. You're free to do whatever you want with the result. Again, you post and it'll post directly on your social media. Now you also get some print material. For example, let's go back to my listings. I believe this was 34 Foxglove. We can scroll down to our flyer. Now this, we can download a print PDF. We can print at home. So this will download a PDF that you can then very easily print out. And you can do the same for these other materials. We have a postcard. And again, you can always go in and click on edit. And when you're in this edit mode, you can go in and change out the photos very easily. Again, you click on this real estate button. It'll grab the images. Let's say I want to feature the kitchen and then some of the other interior rooms. You can change any of this. You can change your photo, property information, font size. Another feature we have for all the designs is that when you are in your design view, you are able to switch things around. Let me see if I can change our brand. So for our agents who are down in Florida, we have, when we generate these, we generate it with our standard layer logo, and you're free to use that. But you can always change the brand. So let me show you what that looks like. It usually appears here. Yeah, I think it's a bug. I'll contact the Zara people. Let me see if I can go into a different design. But you're able to switch out the brand. It'll switch over the logo. The colors will stay the same, but anytime there's a layer logo, it'll switch out. We have, again, all of these different playbooks that you can generate. You don't have to wait for the email. You can generate these as is. This is also updated with the information on the MLS. So, some agents will upload a listing and just with one image, right? Just to get it up on the MLS and then go on later and upload the rest of the images. It'll all update automatically. Just like any other service that takes syndication from the MLS, it can take a few hours for it to get all the information, right? But it will update, right? You can go in, if you have a price change, the new price will appear there. If you made any changes to the photos or the description, it'll come right up there. You do need to generate one of these when you're ready. Now, the only one we don't generate is the open house because it does ask for a date and time. So not only do you give it your MLS ID, you also give it a date and time, and then it'll generate some material that will include that date and time. We also have different templates. A lot of the templates that you saw that were in Canva, we're bringing over to Zara. So this is a work in progress. We're going to have some more updates and some more designs that we have available. We have our agent branding package that we talked about. But we also have the 4-page brochure. Now, you can always request a 4-page brochure from us, but it's even easier now to create one, right? We don't create this for every single listing. But if you have a nicer listing, you went out and got some nice drone shots, you have a lot of images, you have the option of creating a 4-page brochure. And it's as easy as just giving it the MLS number for your listing. So it's going to open up in this view. It's going to ask you the MLS number. Again, I'm just going to choose one that I had already done before. Choose one of these. And then we'll hit next. We're going to choose the agent. Now, this is interesting too. If you're covering for someone else, you can select your own information, right? So you can put in your own contact info. In this case, I'm just going to do the agent, and then we'll click next. Now we're going to give it a minute to download all the photos. But once it has applied everything, it'll add all the photos, right? So here we go. Here's our full 4-page brochure. It'll add the images. It'll add the property details. it'll add a description. Again, you can go in and change any of this. So this description looks a little small. We can change over the font size to make it a little bigger and make it fit this section. You can change any of this. The photo order, obviously you're not going to have a giant photo of the bathroom like this. You can go into real estate, go to listing photos, and maybe choose another exterior image like that. When you're ready to print out, you can hit this print button. And again, you can print out at home. If you have an ExpressDocs account, you're also able to connect to that. In this case, we're going to print at home. Sometimes you might get an error like this or a warning like this if they find spelling mistakes. You can ignore them and continue. And then you will then download a PDF on your computer, which then you can use to print out at home at any of our offices. You can even send it over to Staples or any kind of professional print shop to print. So that is our Zara platform. The next thing I wanted to go over is our monthly social media. Stacy already kind of covered this. I just wanted to give you a live demo of what that looks like. We will send out at the beginning of the month an email that looks just like this. It has your social media pieces for the month. So those are 6 to 8 monthly social media pieces that cover 4 weeks of content. These are currently done in Canva, right? But you can download these as is. There's a little download button that you can download directly to your phone. You can open up this email on your phone. You can tap and hold and save that image on your phone. And then you can grab the suggested caption. You just copy and paste it. Or you can edit in Canva, right? If I click on edit in Canva, it will open up in Canva. You can make any edits. You can switch out the logo if you want, or you can use Canva's built-in social media calendar. Now, this content is meant to be used alongside our social media library, which I already have here. The social media library is about 5 years worth of content. It's thousands of social media posts. We have Facebook covers. We have things that cover buyers and sellers. We have some filters that you can go through, or you can do a search, right? So if you're looking for content for sellers, just click on sellers. And here we have all of the content. If you go all the way to the bottom, you click on the see more button and you'll see tons and tons of content. Now this is updated automatically. So anytime, every month we add to this whole library. We even have stuff for mindset, right? So, you can do a search. Let me see. Gratitude. Let me see if I spelled it correctly. You can do a post about gratitude, right? You can just do a search for gratitude, and here we have several posts that you can do. So this is meant to be used as a supplement to the monthly social media. You can go in, grab some of these for the month, do everything, on Monday or at the beginning of the month, and schedule everything out. So we'll give you all of this. Again, this is if you are a Layer agent. You'll get this via email, and you'll also get a text message. You don't have to keep getting the text message. You can always reply stop, but you'll always receive the email. And then for all of this, if you're not getting the email or you're not getting the content from Zara, let us know. We can make sure that everything is working. Another thing for Zara is they have a really great support team. You can click on this little question mark and click on help. They have great articles that you can use that works a lot like our Layer GPS, but they also have live chat. You can talk to a human being there. They can help you out with any questions you might have with Zara. So that's it for me.
Sorry about that. Is my sound better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, good. All right, let's go back. While I am pulling up my presentation, couple things that we want to go through, because the goal today, we only have 45 minutes left. I want to quickly go over some of the things that you should be executing on after you leave today. buyer presentation, listing presentation, buyer package, seller package, investor package, green designation. I think that's huge and will help your business. And then if you're a Lair agent, you got to log into your Zara account. I promise you, it's so easy. I've had so many agents reach out to me and they're agents that thought Canva was challenging. So you guys know Canva's pretty easy to use too, but some agents never really got into using Canva. So you have to drag and drop pictures. And I've had agents that did not like Canva that reached out and said, Zara is 10 times easier because I don't have to do any customization. All my stuff is already there. Okay, let's see. Let's go back to our Lair agent services. And then I am going to do a quick presentation on a couple of cool technologies for you. And let's see, I have about 20 more things that we need to cover today, but we're already running low on time. So I'll pick and choose wisely. Let's see. Let me just share my screen. Okay, we're back at the Lair Agent Services dashboard, and you guys will remember we're just about done with the marketing and branding section, but you'll remember I skipped over a button here on signs, apparel, and print marketing. So here, if you're a Lair agent, you can go order there's a whole section of signs. So you can order Lair for sale signs, open house signs, sign riders, you name it. Also under Markful, you can order like signs, apparel, business cards. We have some other apparel places too. But really what I wanted to cover is these print marketing sources, because print marketing is a great place to stand out right now in your business. And so I put together a little presentation on some of the cool technologies that I think are worth their money in our business. So this is marketing, branding, and technology. Number one, MLS mailings. So these are some tools that will help you scale your business. One of the biggest challenges in real estate is scaling. When you first start your business, it's pretty easy to kind of manage everything. But as you start to go from 10 to 20 closings a year or 20 to 40 closings a year, now you need to start scaling and having systems that work for you. So most of these products are systems that will really help you scale. The first one is MLS mailings. These are just listed, just sold postcards. Big deal. There's lots of companies that have just listed, just sold postcards. The reason why this one is a big deal is because it hooks directly to your MLS. So you set it up with your MLS, you put in your MLS ID and everything, and then you tell the system, hey, every time I list a property, I want 100 mailers to go to the surrounding neighbors. And every time I sell a property, I want 100 postcards to go to the surrounding neighbors. What MLS mailings does is they will create the marketing piece for you. And as soon as your property is listed in MLS or goes under agreement, they'll send you an email with the piece already made. And then you just hit a button. Yes, I want it. And the pricing's good too. So for a standard postcard, 100 of them sent out is $96. And for the large postcards, it's $127. So I love it because it's set it and forget it. Just hook it up once, postcards go out. The second one that I love is TPMCO, the Personal Marketing Company. This one has a really cool product, which is really important because there are stats out there that say 89% of buyers would use their agent again or recommend their agent to others. However, only 11% of homeowners actually do use the same agent a second time. And whose fault is that? Well, I would say it's probably the real estate agent's fault for not staying in touch. Because once you put a deal under agreement, you do all this work, you get the property under agreement, you sell them, they close, And now you're on to the next transaction because you know the one that you just closed is not going to result in another immediate paycheck in most cases. So you immediately hop on to the next customer that is more likely to deliver an immediate paycheck. The problem is too often you forget about the person that closed and then you end up not staying in touch. That's why it's so important to put them into your database, of course, but also this TPMCO, the personal marketing company, has an insurance policy, basically. What it says is, hey, pay us $48, just a one-time charge of $48, and they will stay in touch with your client for 5 years. So this is what they send. Basically, they create all these branding pieces for you, magazines, postcards, letters, and they have a 5-year follow-up campaign. So every time you close a transaction, they should go into the TPMCO, the personal marketing company, for $48. It's a no-brainer. And over 5 years, the client will get 21 mailings over 5 years. So even if you forget to put them into your email database, even if you forget to reach out and make a pop by and visit them a few times a year, you have this little insurance policy working for you that they're still receiving information from you. You're still top of mind because TPMCO is staying in touch for you. This involves 1 thank you mailing, 10 home topic postcards, and 10 issues of Today's Living magazine. $48, it's a no-brainer. If you want samples to actually look at the product and see the quality of the personal marketing company, you can actually scan this QR code and fill out the information, and they'll send you like a little realtor sample package so you can evaluate. But the stuff looks really good. And for $48, it's a no-brainer. It should be on the list of things that you execute on every time you have a closing. Number 3 technology for your business is Wise Pelican. This is another mailing company. They do mailers, brochures, postcards. I love Wise Pelican for a few reasons. Number 1, they hook directly to most MLSs. So you want to quickly do some print marketing or a postcard mailer, you can do that through Wise Pelican. By the way, Lair agents, you can do all that under Zara now, so you don't need Wise Pelican. But the other thing I like about Wise Pelican is if you're an agent that isn't good with creating QR codes and importing leads into a database, they'll do all this for you. They'll create this email. Basically, what Wise Pelican will do is create on your postcards a QR code, and where it'll say, would you like a free CMA on your property? The customer scans the QR code, puts in their name, phone number, email address, and then Wise Pelican, it goes into a database, and Wise Pelican emails you the lead. So you don't, sometimes agents have a hard time like coordinating, creating a QR code, creating a landing page, all that. Wise Pelican does it for you. Plus their materials are just really beautiful. Next one is RSP USA. That is a 4th. Oh, by the way, if you haven't done this already, it should be on your list of things to do. Go to youtube.com/Lair training, because we constantly train on all these products. Like in the last few months, we've done a class with Wise Pelican. We've done a class with RSP USA. RSP USA has a really cool product, especially for like condos. If you're marketing to condo subdivisions, then they have like this newsletter they do where it shows the consumer all the other recent sales within the condo complex, but it's all branded to you. It's kind of a cool product. Next, Showami. This is for on-demand showing agents. Again, you want to scale your business. Well, at times you're going to have multiple people that want to go look at houses on Saturday and you can't show them all. So Showami is an app where you can hire agents to go show properties for you. Now, Lair agents, we're building our own version of this called Lair Force. and we just launched it last week. We're still in the beta testing of this, but we're going to have this under our own roof. But for other agents outside, this is a great way to scale your business. Just pay people to go show properties for you. I also like it because if you're an agent that needs to make some extra money, then why not set yourself up as a showing agent and get paid to go show properties? They make you sign all kinds of disclosures so you don't have to worry about somebody stealing a customer, for example. Next is Expose.io app. Expose.io is an app that will allow you to take pictures on your phone, and then it exposes them so they look like professional photography. Now, my preference is I wish every agent did professional photography on their listings, even if it's a $30,000 mobile home. I think that your clients deserve professional photography. And don't forget, every listing you get is an audition for your next customer. So you should audition with beautiful marketing pieces. So my preference is professional photography. If you absolutely can't do that, absolutely can't afford it, then Expose.io is the next best thing. It's not quite as good as professional, but it's close. You can just take pictures with your iPhone or your Android, and it re-exposes the photos so they look professional, and they basically charge like $1 a photo. So you can go upload like 50 photos that you took with your phone, then it lets you look at them all re-exposed, and then you pick the ones that you want to download, and they charge you $1 for each one. So you pick 10 pictures, you're going to pay $10 for the re-exposed photos. Next cool product is Yellow Letters Complete. What Yellow Letters Complete is good for scaling is handwritten notes. So for example, I love handwritten notes because it's a nice touch, a special touch to a customer. Anyways, Yellow Letters Complete will do handwritten notes to an entire database. You want to send a handwritten thank you note to everybody you worked with on Thanksgiving to stand out? Yellow Letters Complete could do that for you. They have two options. Number one is an AI handwritten note card. They also have an option for actual handwritten note cards. So both of them are wonderful options. And next cool application is Markful. This, especially for Lair, I love all their products. They have apparel, football calendars, for example, like if you want to do the magnets for fridges, all kinds of great stuff. And for Lair agents, we have our own page, so you can go in and buy all kinds of cool stuff for your business. And then last is Homes.com. Why do I love Homes.com? Mostly because I don't love Zillow.com. But Homes.com is wonderful because it's a little bit different model than Zillow, where Zillow takes the inventory that our agents go out and get and market to and builds their inventory. Then Zillow sells the leads to other real estate agents. Homes.com ends up always directing the lead to the listing agent. Either way, whether you like Zillow or Homes.com or Realtor.com, all three of them give agents a free agent website on their site. So you should go set up your Homes.com page, your Realtor.com page, and your Zillow.com page. So when consumers are looking for you, usually those three will come up on the first page of a Zillow search: your Realtor.com page, your Zillow page, and your Homes.com. So if somebody Googles you, they're going to find your page because the page exists whether you've updated it or not. So at least go to these sites. You can Google how to do it or ask ChatGPT. It'll give you instructions, but you want to look professional if somebody goes and Googles you. So that is some of the cool technologies. We have links to all those under our marketing resource section at lairagentservices.com. So let's go back. We only have about a half an hour left, and there's some other really cool things that I want to cover before we call it a day? The next piece, if you keep scrolling down, is under agent growth and development. So we've gone through the entire marketing section. There's tons of stuff on there. Hopefully everybody found some great pieces that you can go and customize for your own business. But now we got to talk about your growth. How are you going to systematically grow your business? So at Layer, we have all different resources available for agents. Number one, we have classes, trainings, coaching. So if you click on this classes, meetings, and coaching, couple places that you want to check out. Number one, our YouTube channel. I said this a few minutes ago. Go to youtube.com/layer training and subscribe. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of classes here. And we add classes every week. We add a handful of classes every single week, but there's hundreds of classes here. So if you subscribe to the YouTube station, you'll never miss one of our classes, because as soon as we do a class, we upload it. Like this class is going to be uploaded to YouTube this afternoon. So number one, this one's really important. Subscribe to our YouTube station. You can also see our upcoming classes. All of our classes, each week we do live classes every week by Zoom. You can go check out all of our upcoming classes right here at layerrealty.com/training. All the upcoming stuff is listed here. And if you click on it, it'll tell you how to participate in that class. It's usually a Zoom link, or just it'll tell you to go to layerzoom.com at the time of the class so that you don't miss it. But all these classes eventually end up on YouTube. So if you're subscribed to our YouTube, you're not going to miss anything. So those are some of the cool pieces. If you like specific classes, some of the classes that we do regularly that agents like, for example, our 12-week Algorand class. The 12-week Algorand class, I mentioned earlier that we have a program. In fact, I'm going to take you to another link. Also under agent growth and development, if you click on business plans and growth systems, we have 3 different programs for building your business. By far the best one is Algorand. The reason it's called Algorand is because there is an algorithm to success in this business, that if you do certain things in your business on a yearly, monthly, and weekly basis, and on each new listing, each buyer appointment, seller appointment, and sprinkle in some events. If you do certain things, you can expect a certain result. So we built the Algorand growth system to help agents get to 30 transactions a year, and we've seen it work. And so this is a step-by-step system. By the way, you guys anybody can go take this at layerrealty.com/12-week Algorand. You can download our entire workbook, and it tells you exactly how to build a business. It's based off a checklist system, a checklist manifesto, and it's only 7 checklists. The first checklist is a yearly checklist of 12 things that you have to do once a year. The second checklist is 9 items you do once a month. A weekly checklist of 9 items you do once a week. And then a checklist for each buyer appointment, each seller appointment, each new listing you get, and then sprinkle in those events throughout the year. So it's basically built off of 7 checklists. If you just stick to the checklists, you will build a significant business. You'll get to 30 transactions. We have proof that this is simple to do, even for new agents. So we have the 12-week Algorand class, or book. So first, if you're a Layer agent, we actually, in your welcome package that we send when you join our brokerage, in that big box you got, one of the pieces was the Algorand growth system. So you have the workbook, but anybody can download the workbook here. So if you're not a Layer agent, you want the workbook, go to layerrealty.com 12-week Algorithm and download the workbook. It's like 100 pages and it's a checklist system. Next, some agents need like an extra level. So we also have these class recordings. We developed a 12-week training program. This is 12 one-hour classes on how to execute the system. Many people don't need the classes. The workbook is enough if you just work off the workbook. But if you want some extra tips on each of the systems, then also take the 12-week class that goes with it. Then on top of that, we also have coaching. So if you have the workbook, if you've gone through the classes, but now you want some extra accountability, just go to layerrealty.com/layer coaching and sign up for our coaching program. And it's all based on the Algorithm system. You get assigned to a small group coaching unit with 5 to 7 agents per group. And then we have coaches that deliver this amazing program and they help hold you accountable to the system. So that's just one of our systems. I think it's the best. We also have a traditional business planning tool. This is like if you Google business plans for real estate agents, we have that. So you can click on this, and this is like a 40-page guide that walks you through the steps of planning your business. Now, this is kind of cool anyways. It's a 45-page booklet. This is also kind of cool if you run a team, just to bring your agents together on a regular basis to work through the business plan. So this is kind of a cool little tool. It's not the same as a growth system. It doesn't tell you step by step how to build a business, but it helps you evaluate based on where your business was last year, where your business came from, where to focus moving forward. And then we also have a third one, which is it's called the Simple Plan. This one's a little bit different than an typical real estate agent business plan. The idea of the Simple Plan is this, that let's just say you're an agent that did $2 million in sales last year of $2 million in sales volume. What that means is you're probably going to do 2 million in sales volume this year. You're going to then do $2 million in volume next year. That's how our business works, because who you are in your own mind is a $2 million producing agent. But then some of you are saying, wait a second, I'm not happy with that. I am a $10 million agent. Well, to become a $10 million agent, you have to become that person within yourself first. So the Simple Plan takes a different approach. It kind of helps you evaluate who you are right now, because who you are got you to where you are right now. But if you're not happy with where you are right now, then you have to become a different version of you. So it helps you evaluate what are the goals and who do you need to become to be the person that can achieve those goals. So 3 different tools here. They're all pretty powerful. My favorite of the 3, of course, is the Algorithm system. Okay, next up is continuing ed. We do have a partnership with the CE Shop if you need any type of continuing ed classes. So that's kind of all of our agent growth and development tools in one spot. Let's keep going down. Agent Toolbox. We have some other tools in here, as Craig mentioned, like our sustainability section. We have a library of other resources as well. If you're a Layer agent, there's a button here to get paid. So under that button, you'll find like all kinds of things. The Layer check request, that's our online form that you fill out when you have a closing coming up, that you notify our bookkeeping team that you need checks. We also have the login to eChecks, as well as access to like deposit link and things like that. And let's go back. We also have a whole section here on agent safety, which is pretty important for us. By the way, we have a really good class coming up on agent safety to watch out for. It's coming up early October, I think. But we wrote our own booklet on agent safety, just a little guide of things to think about in your business. And then also, this is all at lairrealty.com/safety. There's all kinds of tools here for stuff that will help you stay safe. So from apps like voice activated alarm system for your phone, to Invisaware, which is cool jewelry that it's also an alarm so that you can stay safe in your business. And then if you keep going down even further, we have our office, our agent directory, and a list of all of our Lair offices, and then our brokerage blog. The brokerage blog is kind of like just it's just stuff happening, like when we put out our monthly numbers, for example, of our top agents, things like that. That's what you'll find in the brokerage blog. So we've got about 10 minutes left. I do want to show you a couple other things. So I'm going to take you back to our program guide, which is where we started our morning. Let me reshare. Okay, you guys will recall this from this morning. This is the program guide that you can download at lairrealty.com/success tools. And this is our 40-page booklet of all the tools and resources. It was where we launched today's program, but I want to finish today on this as well, because there's still a lot of stuff we didn't get to cover. We spent most of our day focusing on marketing and branding. You guys got to go through our Lair Agent Services dashboard. Sergio gave you kind of a back-end tour of our Zara marketing platform. So if you're a Lair agent, you don't need to rely on Canva, because we have so much of that here now in the Zara platform, where you don't have to constantly put your contact information and your name and your bio. It's going to automatically put that on everything. Through our Zara partnership as well, anytime you get a new listing, all of your marketing pieces are automatically created. Same with price changes or anything. It's all connected to your MLS. So anything that happens in your MLS is going to happen in Zara. As far as CMA programs, the products we typically recommend are RPR or Cloud CMA. If you're a Lair agent, I highly recommend you check out our Cloud CMA. And this is not the free Cloud CMA that you get on MLS. So if you're using the free CMA that comes through MLS, then you're probably not getting all the customized reports that we've added inside the system to make your CMAs look beautiful. We talked a little bit about technology, but a couple things I wanted to point out quickly before the end of our program. When you join Lair, there's tons of complementary technology that you get access to as a real estate agent. So first off, like the .loop, app files, transaction desk, the stuff for managing your business, that all comes as part of your Lair package. I mentioned Cloud CMA, which is we have our own branded version of Cloud CMA with all kinds of additional materials in it. G Suite, we give our agents a full G Suite. Showing time, all agents get showing time. However, there's a few that are fairly new for Lair here. Number one, you got to see the Zara Cloud, which is our new marketing platform. Everything that you saw on Canva today is also on our Zara marketing platform. But we have two other pieces here. If you're a Lair agent, you want to make sure that you're utilizing the Agently app. Agently is our agent productivity dashboard. There's so much cool stuff on the back end of your Agently where you can track your production, but also we have so many classes in there. So you want to better use your fellow CMA or your fellow CRM. We've got programs for you designed on exactly how to build out your fellow CRM. As well, I mentioned that we're creating our own internal mechanism for paying one another to go show properties or to cover showings or to cover home inspections, to cover vacations. And that is what we just recently launched this week is our Lairforce app. Still in the beta testing mode, but this will be fully functioning within the next 30 days. Now, one of the things that agents ask when they join a brokerage is, are there any monthly fees associated with being with your brokerage? And at Lair, the answer is maybe. We have an optional $39 per month tech bundle. We don't mandate it. Some companies mandate that you pay their tech fee, and whether you're using their tech or not, we don't do that. We have an optional $39 a month bundle. The package that you get for $39 is incredible. If you were to go sign up on your own for these 3 products, you'd be paying over $300 a month for it. At Lair, our tech bundle is $39 per month, and you get 3 products. Number 1 is Fellow. Fellow is a system that you put names and emails into the system, and the system will email everybody in your database who owns a house. They'll get a CMA, or I shouldn't say CMA, an automated valuation of their property every 2 weeks. And it'll say, hey, this is what your house is worth right now based on it comes from 3 different sources. The system is clear that this is an automated valuation. In fact, it pushes the consumer to speak to their agent for actual value. So it lets them know this is an automated valuation based on these 3 places that we're pulling data from. But if you want a CMA on your house to find out actual value, speak to your real estate agent. So what I love about Fellow is many databases out there for real estate agents are just like a place that you can collect names and email addresses, and you could send them like newsletters and stuff like that. But the database doesn't actually, like when you look at the database, everybody in the database is the same. So you have 300 people in there. You don't know who to call, who's the one that is probably thinking about selling their house. That's what makes Fellow unique. Fellow not only sends these emails every 2 weeks, giving people their automated valuations, but it then rates your whole database. So it'll say, hey, you have 300 people in your database, but these are the 10 you should pay attention to. Because based on what they're clicking through on the back end of the system, they're thinking about selling their home. What's the downside to Fellow? Well, people will say, well, the automated valuation's not that accurate. I think many times it is, but not always. And it does not matter whether it's accurate or not, because the system is just looking at behavior. And the behavior of the consumer is that they're clicking through. So it gives you a reason to call your people when you go into the back end of your Fellow and it rates your whole database and it says these 10 at the top are clicking through like crazy. They want to know their valuation. That is when you as an agent pick up the phone, you call the person and say, hey, I noticed that you were looking at the value of your property. What did you think of the price? Too high, too low, or just right? Now you're in the flow of a communication with somebody who's thinking about selling their property. So Fellow is a game changer. By the way, we have classes on the Fellow product if you want to check it out at lairrealty.com/fellow, FELLO. Another part of the $39 a month tech bundle is Boston Logic, which is an agent website. This is a website, a really nice templated website for agents. This is what I'll tell you. Websites are like business cards. It's probably not going to get you a ton of business, but you kind of should have one. So I think that I think that these are a beautiful website for $39 total with all three products. Of course, it's a no-brainer. So they are templated. You can make them look whatever way you want. We deliver it to you and it already looks pretty, so you don't have to do a lot of work. The third part of the $39 a month tech bundle is Real Scout. Real Scout is a system for shopping real estate. It's like having your own Zillow. So in my opinion, the reason why Zillow is the most used search platform by buyers is because most real estate agents put their buyers into an MLS search experience. So they have a buyer they're working with, and they want to make sure their buyer knows of all the new listings that hit the market. So they go into their MLS and set them up on a drip campaign of new listings that hit the market. It is underwhelming. Most of the MLS searches for real estate are pretty lousy. So the consumer goes and looks for something else and they end up at Zillow. If you're properly using Real Scout, that will never happen because Real Scout is better than Zillow. And it's at least as good as Zillow, but in many ways it's better as well. It's real time. As properties hit the market, your customer is notified. It's a wonderful search experience. And so by talking about Zillow in your buyer presentation and then following it up with a really good system for your client to search real estate, you're not going to lose people to Zillow. So those are the three parts of our $39 per month tech bundle. Next section. So I mentioned this whole booklet is divided into 4 sections. You got to see marketing and branding. You just got to see the technology section. This is career development. And you got to already kind of see all of this. The one piece that we didn't do a whole demo on today is our agent productivity app, which is powered by Agently. So this is just for Lair agents. You got to go log in. If you can't find your login, you can email happyagent@lairrealty.com. Our team will assist you at getting back into the system if you haven't been there in a while. But basically, you can watch all your classes. Everything is organized in a nice way. So you want business blueprint classes. We have a section of that. You want classes just on technology? We have a section on that. So go check out the app. It also has the ability to set your goals, track production, things like that. So go check out our agent productivity app. You got to hear a little bit about our Algorwin program. And don't forget, you have access to coaching. If you're a Lair agent and you like the Algorwin program, but you're not getting to 30 transactions a year, let our team help you identify why. It's probably some stuff, limiting beliefs. Everybody has them, limiting beliefs or little things going on in the background. A lot of stuff you were programmed with when you were like 7 or 8 years old. We're going to help you get past that so you can achieve huge goals for your real estate business. And then tons of training on demand. Most important, go subscribe to our YouTube station because you'll never miss anything with our YouTube station. Then I mentioned our Lair Force app. This literally just launched this week. And as I mentioned, this is something we built with our own developers. This isn't like a product we bought off the street because it was awesome. We had a vision for this. We wanted our agents to be able to say, hey, I need to pay somebody to show a property for me on Saturday because I'm going to a wedding. I need somebody to cover a home inspection for me. So this is like a job posting app that you'll be able to post a job and have a fellow Lair agent cover stuff for you. So while we have launched it, we have not perfected it yet. So it'll take probably another 30 days before it's really working the way we want it to be working. And other than that, if you're a Lair agent, you know, we're constantly bringing in outside trainers and coaches and stuff because we want your experience here to be just wonderful. So as a Lair agent, make sure you're participating in stuff we put out there. Our monthly birthday luncheons, our networking events, mastermind groups. There's so much opportunity to grow and learn from one another. Please take advantage of it. And then finally, the last part of the book is our agent support services. If you're a Lair agent, the number one way to get help with anything you need 7 days a week is through our Happy Agent system. If you email happyagent@lairrealty.com, our team is there 7 days a week. You need help with writing an offer, a question on a transaction, legal help, email it to Happy Agent. Let one of our Happy Agent team members help you with that. And then the rest of this is like some of the other cool technologies we have to just make life easy. Deposit link in earnest, deluxe e-checks. By the way, in this guide, we also have a place, all the places you can go get leads for your business. So on the left-hand side, we have all the referral fee-based lead platforms. On the right-hand side, we have all the subscription-based lead platforms, but these are my favorite, the referral fee-based lead platforms. Go sign up for all of them so that you have different places sending you business throughout the year. And then finally, at the very end of this, we have all of our office locations. By the way, if you're not a Lair agent and you're interested in learning about the tools, the training, the technology we have, now you kind of know most of the stuff we have at Lair, but I'd love to have a confidential call with you. You can just email me at happyagent@lairrealty.com. That'll come direct to me and I'll reach out to schedule a call. If you're a Lair agent, please know that you have access to all of our offices. So we're growing everywhere. And by the way, even if you're at another brokerage and you like Lair, but you don't see an office near you, still reach out because we are literally growing everywhere. But if you're a Lair agent and you want to utilize any of our office locations, just go to lairrealty.com/office access. And there's a form there. So like, let's just say you're a Chelmsford, Mass agent, and you're going to be showing houses in the Cape Cod this weekend. You could go to our West Yarmouth or our Falmouth office, go to lairrealty.com/office access. You just fill out a form of which office you need to get into, and the system automatically emails you how to get in. So all of our offices have key code entry, and you can easily utilize any of these locations for your business. With that, we are at the end of our program. I want to say thank you to everybody that stuck with us for 3 hours. I know that's not easy on a Zoom call, so thank you. I want to remind you before you leave to, at the end, just take a few minutes to write down the 3 things that you're going to go execute on after you leave today. Don't let this day get away. You took so much time. That shows dedication for your business. So make sure that you reap the reward from that. And the best way to reap the reward is to go execute on some of these items so that you can turn it into business. Do not let the day go by without beginning to execute on these items, because I don't want you to look back a month from now and say, oh, I spent half a day on that program and I did nothing. The value is in execution. With that, thank you, everyone, and we will see you back. Well, some of you will see back next month at our next boot camp, but always stay in touch. We appreciate having you on our programs. Thanks, everyone.